Welcome back, troglodytes, to the Trogly's Guitar Show. Before we talk about this beautiful Stratocaster here, unfortunately we have to have a real talk. I'm sure you guys have seen a bunch of other videos, people talking about Universal Music Group just going through and copyright claiming anything that has anything to do with their songs, all the way from humming their tune to playing a cover on it on a guitar. Yes, it's true. It affects all of us, including my channel. Now, thankfully, it's only ever hit 4 of my videos. They copyright claimed my Katy Perry video. They did the Hendrix and 68th anniversary Les Paul. And they even blocked, in every single country, my Haunted Les Paul video. But I've got that one back up and running now. But essentially what this means is we can no longer play covers on YouTube without them just taking all our money. So what that means for this channel is I can no longer play cover songs, which, yeah, that takes all our fun intros away. It's gonna really simplify the playing demos down to just bare minimum. Essentially what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make my own little riff up. I'm just gonna repeat it for all 5 positions. You'll still get to hear how the guitar sounds. It just won't be quite as fun sounding anymore. But thankfully, most people that are on my channel, they're not here to listen to me noodle away on a guitar anyways. You're here to learn the history of instruments. So I'm not going away. I'm still going to make videos. Even if worst case scenario, we don't even get to play them anymore. But I just thought I would briefly mention this as to why the show will be evolving here shortly. Welcome back, troglodytes, to the Trogly's Guitar Show, Fender Friday edition. This is another one from that collection that we featured the custom build from, so it is not for sale in any way, but let's go ahead and learn about the Fender STRAT. The Fender STRAT was first introduced in 1980 as the first time that Fender really branched off to make a Stratocaster something special. The Strat has not changed a lot throughout history. Yeah, you get different headstock shapes, a few spec changes here and there. I'm not a Fender historian, but despite the Telecaster having a bunch of different iterations like the thin line and the custom, the Stratocaster has always just been one standard thing. Then 79 comes, you get like the 25th anniversary ones. Those are kind of cool, I like them. But then there's this big boy. Now they don't all look like this. First let's learn about the base model. So the STRAT, it just says STRAT on the headstock. This was designed as the top of the line Fender Stratocaster at the time. They gave it a smaller headstock. It got the return of the 4 bolts for the neck instead of the 3 bolts. And they gave it a regular style truss rod instead of the bullet style as they were using in this era. Besides those features, they gave it upgraded electronics with an X1 bridge pickup, which is hotter than normal, and they put in something called the S1 circuit. Essentially what this knob does is it gives you 4 additional tones. I'm not going to go through what is what on this particular episode, but to help you kind of understand what it does, think of it like a coil split switch. I mean, obviously that's not what it is, but you kind of have a fatter sound and then you can switch it over to kind of a thinner sound. That's the best way to think of it. And we'll go ahead and go through those tone demonstrations here in a little bit. But the other claim to fame for these models is the brass hardware. Now this brass hardware is coated very heavily in gold. We're talking 100 microns. And that is ridiculously thick. It's rumored that Fender lost money on every single one of these because they plated them so heavily and the price of gold went up so much. This is the same grade as like a fancy watch that's gold plated, to put that into perspective. But you've got this really heavy bridge here that was only used on this model. You've got the Fender logoed knobs. You've got it on the switch tip. You even have it on the tuners. If you still have the original tremolo bar, it is also coated in a similar manner. Now you're gonna say, brass parts, eh? I bet this guitar is really heavy. Yes, they can be pretty heavy. There's been reports of some of these weighing up to 14 pounds. This one is surprisingly light, around 9 pounds. When they were first introduced in 1980, they actually didn't even have these golden tuners on it. They were kind of chrome. but they were offered in a candy apple red finish as well as Lake Placid blue. A lot of them had the matching headstocks, similar to the look of this one. But then later in 1982, they released another finish called Arctic White. But at the same time, there was tons of custom orders. I mean, this was the flagship high-end Stratocaster, so people would custom order a bunch of different stuff. One of the coolest one is called Stratoburst. It's kind of like a multicolored finish there. Specs for these were just all over the place because people could order them however they wanted. You could get a U-shaped neck, a D-shaped neck, a C-shaped neck. You could get an ash body, an alder body. But, I mean, this is not either one of those, is it? This is one of the rarer ones that's very collectible. No, it's not rosewood like the George Harrison Telecaster. Man, those things are so delicious, aren't they? Would love to have one. This is American Black Walnut. So think like the Paul when it comes to the Gibson world. This thing is just gorgeous. It's very 70s and 80s because you got brass everywhere. You've got the walnut. I mean, this is just a super fancy coffee table here. And it's not just the body, it's the whole entire neck here. We've got a maple skunk stripe here. And even the fretboard on this buddy, it's walnut. This is just a pure walnut Strat. I love it. Something to note about this fretboard is there's no lacquer on it either, so it's more akin to like a rosewood board instead of the maple one. So if you ever run into one of these in the wild, just think of it like a Les Paul Custom in a way. It's above the standard Stratocaster. It's supposed to be more fancy. It's got 9 sounds instead of 5, and you've got gold watch parts on this thing. So it's kind of cool. I enjoyed getting to play this instrument. The only thing I didn't like is the fretboard feels rather sharp. I mean, normally you get some nice rounded edges on this. This one comes to like a point. Now, at first I absolutely hated that, but then once I started playing it, you just kind of adapted to it. It almost has kind of a flatter radius to it as well. I'll go ahead and throw up our neck specs right here. But let's go ahead and hear a brief sound sample of this instrument's tones. Bridge pickup, fat sounding. Second position, fatter. Thinner. Third position. Thinner. Fatter. Now we'll go to the fourth position in a fat sound. Fifth position, fatter sounding. We've got quite a few different tones out of this thing. Bridge pickup, fat sounding setting. Second position, fat sounding. Flip our switch. Third position, fat sounding. edition fat. And fifth. Again, this instrument is not for sale, so that's the end of this episode. But hey, people like the Blacklight test, we might as well do it before we leave here. So it's a very versatile Strat. This one's definitely been used, but yet it's still a very collectible model. I would probably say this one needs a level recrown job to play 100% perfectly, but not necessarily needed right away. This thing has been well preserved and well loved. So thank you, Troglodytes, for tuning in to the Trogly's Guitar Show. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow for the Jason Hook Explorer. Without any Jason Hook songs, I guess. Take care.